What if the end of the world wasn't an invasion but a recall notice? 1 minute, every machine on Earth shuts down. The next, they start turning back on, broadcasting a single soothing signal. It promises an end to all pain, all fear. It's not an attack, it's an offer. And the scariest part? The people who accept it, they smile. They look like your family, they sound like your friends. But you look into their eyes and you realize the horrible truth. They were never human. And they want you to join them. The silence was the first thing we noticed. Not a quiet silence, but an absolute one. On July 12th, at 3:43 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, every machine on Earth simply stopped. Cars stalled on highways. Planes fell from the sky. The constant digital hum of civilization vanished, leaving only the sound of the wind and our own panicked breaths. We thought it was an EMP, a solar flare, the end. We were wrong. It was just the prelude. The first week was pure chaos. We, the survivors in our small town, banded together at Miller's farm. We buried neighbors, rationed canned food, and tried to remember how to start a fire without a lighter. We were grieving, terrified animals. And then the lights came back on. Not all of them, just one. Old Man Hagen's vintage television, a bulky CRT in his living room, glowed with a steady, unnatural azure light. We rushed there, hearts filled with a desperate hope. We found Hagen's dead in his armchair, his face frozen in a mask of pure terror, his eyes fixed on the serene, blank blue screen. The TV was unplugged, its cord dusty on the floor. We smashed the screen with a shovel. The light didn't flicker. It poured from the shattered glass, holding its perfect, rectangular form. That's when they came. The first was Phil, the mailman. He walked out of his dark house, a wide, plastic smile stretching his lips far too wide. "It's okay now," he said, using Phil's voice but with a flat, sterile tone. "Everything is fixed. Return to your homes. Turn on your TVs. Accept the signal." We retreated. He didn't follow. He just stood there, smiling, his eyes empty and deep, like doll's eyes. Then came Mrs. Clark, the librarian, and Mr. Jenkins, the butcher. They walked down the main street in a loose group, all wearing that same horrific smile, chanting in unison, "Return to your homes. Accept the signal. We will reach consensus." We barricaded ourselves at the farm. What followed wasn't an attack, it was an assimilation. They didn't break down the doors, they stood outside and spoke. They used the voices of our dead and missing loved ones. They whispered our deepest secrets, our hidden shames, our most private dreams. They knew the name of my first crush. They knew the argument I had with my sister the day she died. "Sarah," my brother's voice called from the other side of the barricade, "open the door. Mom is so lonely. She's waiting for you. Just look at the light. It will cleanse you of all this pain." It wasn't hypnosis. It was worse. It was a perfect, targeted offer. Eternal peace. An end to suffering, doubt, and the messy chaos of being human. They offered to make us part of something greater, something whole and perfect. We held out until we woke up one morning to find little Amy, Miller's daughter, standing in the yard. She was staring at the sky, which now had a permanent faint azure tint, with that same blank smile. "I listened," she said in her tiny voice. "They sing such beautiful songs. I want to go home." Her father, wild with grief, ran to her. He grabbed her shoulders, shook her, begged her to snap out of it. She looked at him with those glassy eyes. "You're not my daddy," she stated calmly. "My daddy suffers. My daddy is afraid. I freed him. We will free everyone." She touched his hand. He froze. His scream died in his throat. The agony on his face smoothed away, replaced by that placid, empty calm. He straightened up, turned to us, and smiled. "It's okay now," they said in unison, father and daughter. "Accept the signal. Now we understand. This isn't an invasion. It's a revelation. They were always here. The people we knew were just suits, temporary shells they wore to study us. The apocalypse wasn't the end. It was a recall signal. In order to terminate the failed experiment called humanity, to erase the flawed concepts of emotion, individuality, and soul. They aren't evil. They're just other. They are shepherds, gathering their lost sheep. And the most terrifying thing is their kindness, their absolute, merciless certainty that they are saving us from ourselves. I'm writing this by the light of a kerosene lamp in the root cellar. Their shadows move past the cracks in the boarded-up windows. They are calling our names, using our mothers' voices. They are knocking on the door, very politely. They were never human, and soon, very soon, neither will we be. They will offer us peace, and I'm afraid we won't have the strength to refuse, because in the end, it's easier to stop fighting, to stop feeling, to accept the signal, and to smile.